This video is about multiplying fractions. The goal is I can multiply two fractions, I can multiply a fraction by a whole number, and I can simplify fractions by cross-canceling before multiplying fractions. Let's start with the review exercises. Number 1 says 2/7 plus 3/7. So they have like denominators, so we're going to keep the denominator the same and add the numerators. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So we have 5/7. Number 2, we have 10/12 minus 6/12. The denominator is the same. So we're going to subtract the numerators. 10 minus 6 is 4. So we have 4/12, and let's simplify this fraction. I can divide both the top and the bottom of the fraction by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Number 3, I have -2 minus 3. That's equal to -5. And then number 4, -5 plus 7 is equal to a +2. Let's start first with multiplying two fractions. When you multiply two fractions, you multiply the numerators and then you multiply the denominators. So for example, number 1, we have 3/4 times 2/7. So I'm going to multiply the numerators together. 3 times 2 is 6. And then 4 times 7 is 28. Now if you can simplify the fraction, you always want to simplify it. And I know that I can divide both 6 and 28 by 2. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom of the fraction by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 28 divided by 2 is 14. Number 2, 3/2 times 7/8. 3 times 7 is 21, and 2 times 8 is 16. And this fraction I can't simplify, so I'm going to leave it as 21/16. Another way to multiply fractions that makes it a little bit simpler is by cross-canceling. So the way to do this is if the numerator of one fraction and the denominator of another have a common factor, they can be simplified first before you multiply the fractions. So if we look at number 3, we have 3/4 times 2/12. So if I look at the numerator of this fraction and the denominator of this fraction, can I divide those two numbers by the same common factor in order to make those two numbers smaller? Well, I could divide the 3 and the 12 both by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now let's look at the 2 and the 4. I can divide both the 2 and the 4 by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I have the fractions 1/2 times 1/4. Now I can multiply across the top and the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 4 is 8. Number 4, we have 6/2 times 7/27. So I'm going to look at the numerator of the first fraction and the denominator of the second fraction. What can I divide both 6 and 27 by? Well, I can divide both of them by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 27 divided by 3 is 9. If I look at the numerator and denominator going the other way, 2 and 7, I can't simplify that at all, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So now I'm going to multiply across the top and bottom. 2 times 7 is 14, and 9 times 2 is 18. And we can actually simplify this a little bit further. I can divide both the top and the bottom of the fraction by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So now we have 7/9. Another thing that you could have done at the beginning of this problem is if you notice that we have 2 divided by 2 here, you could have canceled this and made 1, and then 1 times 7/9 is 7/9. One last way to multiply fractions is when you are multiplying a fraction by a whole number. And first you're going to write the whole number as a fraction, and then you'll multiply the two fractions. So for number 5, we have 3/4 times 9. The way we can make 9 as a fraction is we can put it over 1, because 9 over 1, or 9 divided by 1, is the same thing as 9. So that's how we can write a whole number as a fraction. Now you're going to multiply the numerators. So 3 times 9 is 27, and then 4 times 1 is 4. So we have 27 over 4. Number 6, we have 2/3 times 15. So I'm going to write 15 as 15 over 1. That makes it a fraction. And then I'm going to do 2 times 15 is 30. And then 3 times 1 is 3, and then we can simplify this by dividing. Well, what is 30 divided by 3? Well, that's just equal to 10.